Good evening and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Greg Sander, and I serve as First Vice Chairman of the Saluda County Republican Party. One of our main missions as a county party is voter education. We are pleased to provide this opportunity for you to hear directly from your local candidates and to ask them the questions that matter most to you and your families. We believe there is a huge untapped power among the Republican voters in the grassroots, and that is why a strong county party is so important. We're working in all of our precincts to bring together as many voices as we can in our quest for better governments and grounded in common sense, rooted in traditional values, and inspired by a deep love of country. Thank you again for being here and for being part of this active part of our effort. And kind of the housekeeping rule, if anyone needs a restroom, we're back here behind me. We're ready to go. We're going to have Mr. Ben Ward do an invocation and pledge allegiance for us.
Let's bow our heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come to the throne of grace. We come with thanksgiving that we live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And we ask that your presence be felt among us. Give us the spirit of wisdom and discernment that we may understand what it is that you intend for us to do. Give us the strength to do it and the vision to see it to completion. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let us stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
We're going to let Ms. Amy Potts, Chairman.
Yes. Thank you all for coming. I hope you'll find this time well spent. I hope you've all gotten your questions written down and turned in the back. And I thank Ben Ward for going through those questions and prioritizing them for us. Thank you, candidates, for coming. We have Bradley Gant here, Andrew Johnson, Jim Moore, Ricky Bailey, and Katie Hall. And you'll notice in the empty spot, that was for Cal. But, unfortunately, he can't be here, but fortunately, he can't be here because he's working really hard on another late day in the House, passing amendments so that we can get a new redistricting map that is not based on race, that is constitutional as our Supreme Court recently defined for us. So he's out doing the work of the Lord, and he regrets that he can't be here. We will take all the questions for Cal, and I will go in some form do an interview with him with all the questions that he would have been asked here tonight, and we will make that video available for you on our website, and we'll share it to other websites, Saluda Now and other places as well. So it is my pleasure to introduce our moderator tonight. I first met Richard Peterson in January of 2015 at the funeral of a beloved cousin with whom he had been friends. A few months later, our paths crossed again at my local VFW, where Richard was working with the Lexington GOP, planning a big event for the Trump campaign. Years later, when I joined the Saluda County Historical Society, there he was again. And our mutual love of country through politics and history has made us fast friends. Richard brings decades of experience in Republican politics and community leadership. From 1988 to 1992, he served as Director of Marketing for the Republican National Committee under President George H.W. Bush, working with the colorful Lee Atwater and traveling across the country to recruit candidates. He has long been active in the Lexington County Republican Party, serving as Western District Chair and as First Vice Chair under 3 county chairmen, working to strengthen Republican engagement in the grassroots. Beyond party leadership, Richard is a past president and CEO of the Lake Murray Chamber of Commerce, where he promoted local businesses and regional economic development. He now serves on the 100 Years of Lake Murray Committee, helping to plan the 2027 Centennial Celebration. As a member of the Saluda County Historical Society, he has a special interest in Saluda County's connection to the Alamo and Doolittle's Raiders, and he is currently writing a book on James Butler Bonham. I consider Richard a true Renaissance man and a fascinating friend. We are deeply grateful for his willingness to moderate tonight's candidate Q&A, so let's give him a warm Saluda welcome.
Instructions. Thank you very much. That was a little over the top, but I appreciate it. I want to welcome everybody. We're going to go with a format of I will ask questions, and the questions will be answered over a 60-second time limit. And then after that, if there's to be a rebuttal, that will be the opposite candidate will have 30 seconds to rebuttal. So I'll start out and I'm going to ask general questions of all the candidates. And the first question is, where are you currently employed, and will this new position, this new elected position, give you time to devote your position?
I am currently employed with Michelin Tire, and I work straight day shifts, so it will not affect it.
I've been employed with the South Carolina Department of Social Services until May the 6th when I resigned. So I'm currently ready to go to work for Saluda County.
I'm retired twice from the Navy and from teaching school, and I've already been putting in a lot of time, so it does not impact me.
I'm currently employed by Bailey & Son Music Company Incorporated, located here in Saluda, South Carolina, and also Bailey Rental Properties. I'm flexible, been working close to 30 years. My lovely wife helps me, so I'm very flexible and I can get to everything I need to get to.
I am currently retired. I was a teacher's aide for children with extreme special needs. And now I guess you could say that my job is like every other wife out there, is to take care of my husband.
All right, this first question will be directed towards Jim Moore and Andrew Johnson. As you know, Saluda County is facing a $350,000 annual loss in boat tax revenue due to the new state law. Do you have any ideas of how Saluda County can compensate for that lost revenue? And will it help offset the shortfalls while still delivering the raises that have been promised to EMS and law enforcement?
With the projected shortfall from the loss of revenues, I think what that means for Saluda County is that we have to look hard at the budget. The budget process is underway now. There'll be a budget workshop on May 26th, as I understand it. I think what that means for us is we've got to look hard at those numbers, make sure that what we have in the budget for approval is based on must-have items, not want-to-have items. So that's where I think our work lies.
Yep.
Anytime you lose revenue, you've got two ways to make it up. You can raise taxes or you can cut services. It's what we have to do, one or the other. Now, we are currently working on the budget. And like Andrew said, there's a budget workshop on the 26th. Will we be able to give raises to employees? I don't know yet. The budget process, we're still in the midst of it. I do know that by the time we get to third reading, the budget will be balanced. And when we do the workshop, we'll hear from the department heads as to what they can do. But I mean, it's only there's only two ways you deal with a shortage of revenue, and that's to raise taxes or to cut services. Neither one of them are very pleasant to do.
All right, this is again to Andrew and Jim Moore. Is there one big new idea that you would like to bring this cycle to council if you're elected or re-elected?
A new idea. Well, we've been working, I do listen to people, and our communications have been bad, so we're working on that, and I think that, I spoke with someone today about putting some of our stuff on YouTube. We had already looked at, putting our meetings on YouTube, and it was going to be cost prohibitive, but perhaps we can put like our podcast or something like that. So that's the latest thing I'm looking at.
We're thinking alike because I think the greatest effort needs to be put towards informing the public of what the government's doing and letting the public have a say in what government's doing. That would involve revamping the website quite a bit, putting more information out there on the website, as much detail as possible, such as, example, the budget worksheets. It'd be great if those were on the county website and people could just go take a look at it. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to communicating what council's doing to the public, along with other things like continuing the revitalization of the downtown area. I would love to see that happen, and communication would be the primary effort.
This is again a general question. As data centers, large developments, and the influx of people move into the state of South Carolina for the next 5 years, what will you do to protect our way of life at the rural nature of Saluda County? How will you prioritize quality growth over quantity? You want to take that one?
I think we need to protect the rural areas of Saluda. We do need responsible growth and to keep the data centers out, so just keep our rural county the way it is.
I think the limitations that we have surround the ownership of private property, and as Chairman Morris said, what people do with private property is out of the control of council. What we could do is an idea that's already, I think, in the works, and that is zoning. And zoning will create some statutory limitations on where these kinds of businesses could be. We know they drain the water supply. We know they use power. We know they're cropping up everywhere, and they're definitely against what we think is the way to preserve your agricultural lifestyle. I think educating the public as to what are the dangers of data centers, that's going to be huge, because I hear so often people ask me, well, what's so bad about it? So you have to explain this is not something that's in the interest of a rural community, especially when you have them popping up in Newberry and efforts to bring data centers to counties surrounding Saluda. Be nice if we would be uniquely different and say no.
Currently, we're working on a comprehensive plan. We are redoing the land use portion. That's the first step. The comprehensive plan is the first step towards zoning. We started that process over a year ago. I expect to give second reading. We've just got the maps. I'm waiting on the Planning Commission to approve the revised land use section of the comprehensive plan, and then we'll be able to go on with the second reading and put that out. And once the comprehensive plan is in place, then we can look at zoning. I mean, our goal throughout Saluda County is to preserve our economic, our agricultural heritage, and every area in the county will be zoned for agriculture.
So for Saluda County, if you look around, we don't have a lot of industry coming. And we got to make a decision, are we going to be a bedroom community, or are we going to entertain business to come? And you got to start focusing, because Lexington County is coming this way. So if you focus on what we can do, and maybe we can keep the bad out, but we need to be educated in what's good, what's bad about it. And everybody wants growth until it comes next door, and then nobody wants it. You want your neighbor to have to deal with it. So we could put some stuff in place like zoning once it gets through everything, and try to keep that stuff out, but educate everybody about the pros and cons of each thing.
Well, on the House level, I believe that we are losing our small farms due to the regulations that they're having to deal with daily. They end up dealing with more paperwork than they are in the field. I will be the first to tell you, I am not a fan of data centers. The main pusher of the data centers are the electric companies.
All right. One candidate stated in a campaign ad that he would like to keep Saluda moving forward. The question I believe many of us have is moving forward into what? What is your vision for Saluda County, and do you believe that the vision lines up with that of the people you'll be representing?
Well, my vision for Saluda County is responsible growth and responsible leadership. And I would like to listen to everybody's opinion and do what's best for the county.
Keeping Saluda moving forward means a handful of things. It means smart growth, and that's making sure that a subdivision doesn't pop up next to a farm, your farm. Smart growth, it requires planning. Keeping Saluda moving forward requires not only rooftops, but also people spending money. And so when you look at the GDP of Saluda over the last 4 or 6 years, it's improved, but primarily that's from our agriculture and our food processing, Titan Farms, Amy Farms. Those are the industries that we really need to grease the wheels on, and that's going to keep Saluda moving forward. In the industrial park, I think that's a great, the industrial drive, people call it the road to nowhere, that was a very necessary development. We need that. But that's only one component of keeping us moving forward. And what the existing council's done has been a good thing. It's been getting us ready for that next retail establishment that needs a place that's ready for them to open up shop. But that's only one part of it. You can't leave out the agriculture and the food processing industry and the other things that have increased our GDP over the last 6 years.
Saluda County has a rural heritage that, if you look at our logo, it says timeless heritage in it. And we rely on that. We are a agricultural, rural area. People like that. That's why people come here. They don't want to be in the city. But you have to have some growth. We have to do something. We have to provide some businesses for our children to go to work here. If there's no jobs, they have to go somewhere else. And that's what Mr. Bailey was saying. We're going to be a bedroom community. No. We want to have something. We have to have growth. And as Andrew mentioned, yes, we process, we put in a road, we put in water and sewer, we prepared the Commerce Park for a business. That's the first step. Now we'll have to find one to come in. But out in the county, we need to preserve our rural heritage.
So like I was getting back talking a while ago about the bedroom community. The lake property down by the lake is growing, and that is something that we can capitalize on. But we do have to have protection to keep that from being overgrown and exceeding what we already have for our infrastructure. We got to be a little bit more proactive in that aspect of it. And the county has been working on some stuff, and we don't want to get into the capital project sales tax. That would help with the growth. But being a bigger community sometimes isn't bad, because and I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. You got to have industry to help bring down property tax. We got to get money from somewhere. And it's either going to be by houses being built or bringing industry in to help offset the cost. And we got to work on both, but you got to have a balance between the two.
And for me, I would like to see a beef processing plant right here. I mean, our farmers are having to go out of state to have things processed. I mean, if it's born here, grown here, why is it not harvested here? And I think that that's kind of where we start. Thank goodness for Amex. You know, they're the largest employer in Saluda County. And if I'm not mistaken, also Batesburg. So I would like to be able to have that, I guess, sister company regarding the beef processing.
Andrew, this question's for you. What do you mean by collaborative style of government?
Collaborative, I think I've mentioned collaborative leadership. I don't know that it's collaborative government. Collaborative leadership to me means if I'm the chairman, I'm not necessarily the boss. I might have to reach out and talk to people who are smarter than me on economics and finance and how we do things. But I want to collaborate. If I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I need a room full of people who know how to get things done. But I want to be able to collaborate with them and work together with the rest of the council and work with other leaders in the county. And I think that's how you arrive at the very best decision, is when a bunch of eyes are looking at a problem.
Mr. Moore, this is to you. Why is the county paying the county attorney to send certified letters to citizens?
Well, anytime you send a certified letter, that's so that you can ensure that it has been delivered, so that that person knows that they've got it.
This is for Bradley Gant and Ricky Bailey. You're a first-time candidate with no prior elected experience. What specific skills, background, or experiences do you bring that will help you review budgets, make policy decisions, and represent District 3 effectively?
Like I said earlier, I work for Bailey & Son Music Company. The company was started in 1978, which was by my father. I took over in 1994 and went to USC and graduated with a degree in retailing. And I took over the business. So I have been making decisions that have affected our business ever since. We're coming up on close to being 50 years in business, and probably about 35 of them I've had my hands on day-to-day activities, from making payroll to paying taxes to balancing the budget. And going out and talking with people was something I've kind of developed a skill with. Being in church and involved in our church, everything we went through a process of discernment, and I was one of the ones that led that process for our church. And I'm easy to get along with. I like working with people, and I'm business sense, business savvy, and that's what I bring to the table.
Like I said, I've worked in manufacturing for 25 years now. I started on the production floor and I worked my way up through quality guarantee. I go to other plants around North America and check their quality of tires going out. I organize and hold meetings with plant management, tell them what they need to do to make their quality better. I've been a coach at the rec department for over 10 years now, leading our youth, trying to make them better. And a wise man once said, "An expert in anything was always a beginner." You don't begin as an expert. So.
All right, and this is another question for same two candidates. Politicians regularly declare transparency while campaigning, but are often only seen at holidays or special events. How will you keep our district updated with issues and new information?
Social media, that's the biggest thing going right now. You can share stuff on social media. I'm active in the school system, like I said, the rec department. You can see me around town, anywhere. Feel free to ask me. I'm open book.
All right, I've actually had a conversation today with a young lady that's involved with the VFW, and we have a district, part of our district is back down on the lakeside. And I've always been told there was 8 houses in that community. There's 67 houses in that community. And I've already tried to make plans to use the VFW to utilize to get to talk to those people and see what their concerns are. I've also mentioned to the Saluda County and GOP that we need to find 2 more places to hold meetings. And I want to try to come out at least once a month. And since the district is so big, you can't have one meeting in the traffic circle and expect everybody from the golf course to come down. You can't expect everybody towards the Ridge Spring area, Richland Creek area to come over there. So I am currently trying to find places to have meetings at once a week. I mean, once a month, and that way we can kind of get with each district. I mean, just divide it up into 3 areas and try to get to those 3 areas every quarter. And I may mention that I would like for the county council chairman, whoever that may be, to go with me. I think it's important for 2 of us to be there to hear the concerns, what's the issues that they are facing.
All right, Katie Hall, this is for you. During your campaign, you have expressed dissatisfaction with the lack of educational requirements for our county probate judges. What requirements do you think the General Assembly should put in place for probate judges?
For probate judge, I believe that you need to have it to at least be a paralegal. So that way you have some training in the law. Probate holds a lot of power, and I don't think everybody quite understands that. And they have the ability to do some pretty scary stuff.
All right, this is for Andrew. Have you ever gone to the county office and examined the books for your assessment of actual spending?
Assessment of my spending?
No, assessment of the actual spending going on in the county.
I have called the office and asked for budget worksheets, and I expect I'll get those, but no, I don't think I've done what you're asking.
Okay. Can you give a specific instance of waste or poor decision-making by council?
Well, you know, I think the way council runs the budget is kind of like inside baseball. There's a lot of activity that goes on that's apparent if you're on the inside, but if you're on the outside looking in, it's almost a mystery. I think one of the questions that was asked at the last time Jim and I had a forum was somebody had asked about a forensic audit. I think both of us said, no, we don't need that. And when I thought about it, I thought maybe the questioner may have meant to ask, do we need a performance audit? When we look at these budgets, I think the best thing that we could do is to have an outside third party familiar with government operations look at what has been budgeted in the context of a performance audit and identify what's needed and what's not needed. And if, you know, in the chairman's defense, when people present him with a budget, he may or may not know exactly where to cut. So we would need a third party on the outside to make those recommendations. But no one, as a challenger, would have the inside information that members of the council would have.
Jim, Mr. Moore, this is for you. Why didn't you, any other of the 4 councilmen, or Will Williams of Western South Carolina, suggest getting an assessment of fair market value before selling a 4-acre parcel with water and sewer and frontage on Highway 178 for $15,000? How can you make sure this does not happen again in the future?
So the first part was, why didn't we get one? All I can say is it didn't occur to us. Should we have, in retrospect? Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And we'll probably have some sort of resolution or probably a policy statement that says in the future that we get some kind of assessment to get fair market value. I don't know what the value of the property is. So yes, we made a mistake there. No, we admit that. And can we do better? Yeah, we can and we will.
So, are you looking at implementing the process?
Yes.
For that, make sure that it's not a reoccurring. All right, this is to Frank Gant and Ricky Bailey. What do you see as the top 1 or 2 concerns for residents of District 3 and Saluda County right now? And how would you work to address them as a council member?
In talking with people now, the biggest concern I have is they feel like they're being left out. They don't know what's going on. I've tried to explain to them that in the process, when they have a council meeting and they have a first reading of an ordinance, that is letting the cat out of the bag, so to speak. So it is your job as a citizen, this is a partnership. If you elect one of us to serve you, then we would like for you to call and let us know if there's something that you don't like that we think that we're talking about or we're thinking about doing. And it's a partnership. And I'll be representing the people, and what the majority says is the way I would vote. So the transparency has been the biggest thing that I've heard throughout the county.
And I agree, I've heard the same thing, and that's the same thing I would work for. And to get the public more involved, get more people to show up to the meetings, be their voice for them.
This is also to the both of you. How would you handle a situation where your personal opinion differs from the majority of the residents in your district?
Simple, I'd go with the majority of what my district said do.
I would always have Saluda County first, not myself.
This is to Andrew. You stated the chairman's job is part-time and emphasized that many meetings can be attended remotely or delegated. Given that you have zero prior experience in county government, how would you know which meetings are actual or critical versus delegatable?
Well, I do have one correction. I have served on the CTC or the Roads Board for Richland County in the past. And so I have a good feel for how that part of government works. And Richland County Roads Board operates a lot like Saluda's, except I got a ton of calls. a lot more calls, I think, from the Richland County residents. Meetings. In state government, I get meeting requests. I get more than I can possibly physically go to. And the way we've adapted in state government is to hold a lot of virtual meetings. And that's actually the primary method of meeting now in state government, is to use a program called Teams. It's a Microsoft product. But, the council and the chairman have hired a full-time administrator. And I've got to believe this is going to help with a lot of the duties that maybe the chairman felt that he had to do before. So we've got that resource and asset. I think we should use it. Face-to-face meetings are not always necessary. And I have no concerns.
All right, this is also directed towards Andrew. It is public record that your law license was suspended for 1 year in 2007 by the South Carolina Supreme Court. Can you expand on that and give some transparency as to what happened?
I thought you might ask me how we were going to save money in the budget, but you're asking about something that was 20 years ago. So if I can remember, I'll try to answer. I've been a lawyer for 28 years. In 28 years, you will see some really interesting and some weird cases. I had some clients that I suspected were breaking the law. So I reported the situation to the South Carolina Bar, and I asked for an investigation. And I did that knowing that there would be an interim suspension during the interim period for the investigation. And so at the end of the bar's investigation, my clients were referred for criminal prosecution. My instincts were right. They had been breaking the law. And at the end of that, I was reinstated as a member of the bar in good standing. But I'll tell you, after that, I went on to become Assistant Attorney General of this state. I went on to become the Saluda County lawyer charged with prosecuting child abuse. I did that on a statewide level. And last thing, my Department of Defense security clearance was renewed over and over again. And none of those folks ever asked me about that because that's a matter of public record that's there for anyone to read.
Okay, this is directed towards Katie Hall. You've emphasized fixing roads and bridges properly instead of temporary band-aids. What specific funding mechanisms or legislative changes would you pursue in the House to prioritize long-term repairs in District 31?
Well, for me, when I've looked at the budget, we have a lot of pork, guys. We have a lot of pork in that budget. If we took that pork out of the budget, then we would have the ability to repave every 2-lane road in the state of South Carolina in 7 years or less.
This is to you also. What legislation would you propose to support family farms and preserve Saluda's rural character?
Well, immediately I'm going to go after the 87,000 regulations that our farmers have to deal with on a daily basis. Not only do they deal with state regulations, but they deal with federal regulations. And each one of those regulations that they have to fill out that paperwork for comes at the cost of $1. So they're being nickeled and dimed to absolute bits and pieces. So that is my first thing, is I will be going after and eliminating as many of the regulations as I possibly can. That will help with instant relief.
All right, this is directed towards all the candidates. We've already reached this before, but as far as the data centers go, would you support the legislation that any data centers, if approved in the county, that they would have to supply their own electricity and not come off the electricity supply to the county?
Yes.
Saying that they would have to supply their own electricity feels like I'm giving in, and I would rather say no, period, to data centers. There would be no circumstance where I think we would want a data. Even if they said they could produce their own electricity, I would still say no.
No, excuse me. Would I support legislation? Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Be a yes for me.
It would be, for me, I would try to leave that up to the counties, but not only are they going to have to supply their own water and their electricity, but they are also have to supply a barrier for the noise that it's the constant hum that keeps going.
Katie, you called for removing pork from budgets to protect taxpayer dollars. What are some of the current examples of wasteful spending or pet projects in South Carolina's budget that you would target for cuts?
Well, you've got private entities that are receiving large portions of money that, I mean, it's their stuff. Why is government paying for private things like Charleston and art in Charleston that goes against a lot of the religious beliefs that a lot of us here in District 39 hold?
That kind of dovetails into the next question to you. You have stated that life begins at conception and praised the heartbeat bill, but criticize its loopholes. No required police report or DNA test for rape and incest. How would you work to close those loopholes while in office?
That is exactly it. I would try to close that loophole. That way, if there is someone that is having that type of medical issue, then they need to supply a police report. That way, when the procedure is done, they can use the DNA in order to find out who the bad person is. Because unfortunately, a lot of times with rape, you do not know who the person was. I'm sorry, but if that's the loophole that's there for you to be able to have that procedure, I need to be able to know that that bad person is coming off of the street.
We are to the point where we're going to get a summation from each one of the candidates on what you feel the state of the county is, or the state of your district, and how do you perceive as your overall philosophy of where's the direction we're headed.
I think the overall state of the county is good. We're heading in the right direction, but we need to keep moving forward. We need responsible growth, responsible leadership, and just to keep moving forward.
Is this our final summation?
Yeah.
Well, let me talk fast. There's some things I wanted to say at the beginning.
Well, you got more time for this close. Didn't have 2 minutes.
I'll just say quickly, I'm Andrew Johnson, and I've lived in Saluda County for about 22 years with my lovely wife Jeannie, who is with me about halfway back. We've raised 4 children here together. We live on Mount Welling Road. I do a little farming, have a little farm, and cows are a primary thing. And I focused on keeping Saluda rural, transparency in government, and making wise financial decisions. And I think that's where we are now. I think what we need to do is to avoid borrowing too much. We need to live within our means. And so that's the thing that I've harped on the entire campaign, and that's where I'm at now.
I've lived in Saluda County for 30 years. I've served people of Saluda County for the past 30 years. As either a school teacher, a Sunday school teacher for adults and youth. I've served on the school board. I've served on the board of deacons in my church. I've just now been elected as the commander of Post 65 for the Saluda American Legion. And I've spent the last 4 years serving Saluda as your chairman. I believe we're on the right track with growth. I believe that we need to maintain the rural nature. Saluda has trees, chickens, and cows. That's our big thing. That's our industry. Can we get something else? Sure. Will we try? Certainly. But we still have to maintain that rural nature of our county. That's what people want. We talked about high-density housing out in the county. No, that's what zoning is for. Zoning is to say, look, if you're out in the county, you need to have low-density housing, meaning an acre or more for your property. We don't want to have the developments that are in Lexington County where their houses are 20 feet apart. We don't want that in Saluda County. The people have said that. They've said that over and over. No. They've said they want to maintain our rural nature. Certainly. Do we want growth? Yes. Do we want industry? Certainly. We have to build our tax base. We have to have some kind of relief for the property owners in Saluda County who bear the burden of all the services that are provided by Saluda County. We have the best small EMS service in the state, recognized by the state. We need to maintain it. We need to keep doing it. Do we need more for our deputies, for our sheriff? Yes, we do. We are always growing. We have, right now, we have a bunch of computers to put in their patrol cars. It's just getting IT to be able to get in there and install this state-of-the-art equipment in our patrol cars. How much time? Am I good? Just getting started.
So I've lived in Saluda County for 48 years. My wife and I have raised 3 lovely children. All 3 of them went to school here, graduated from here. 2 of them went on to college and graduated, and one of our daughters, our daughter is still in it, getting her PhD in chemistry. She gets her smarts from her mother. So just want to put that out there. But I think that the biggest thing that I have seen with Saluda County is that we're trying to play catch up, and we're worried about what's going on right now, what we need to do to fix this. We've got to start putting a little bit of thought into the fact that we need to plan ahead 10 years down the road, 12 years down the road. So when we start building some of these buildings and these things that people want, we got to make sure they multifunction. They can be used for something else. Even if we don't use them today, think about what the cost is going to be 10 years down the road. And we need to start looking at it from a business sense, and that's what I like to bring to the table and look at that thing and what we can do. As far as keeping the county rule, I agree with that. I don't like subdivisions. I don't like it. And luckily I'm in an area where I don't have any subdivisions. I got some land around me like most of us do. And like I said before, everybody wants growth, but nobody wants it next door. And we just got to make sure that we're respectful for everybody else that's around us and understand what they want and try to keep it that way. But at the same time, we do have to grow.
I've been in Saluda County since 2010. And for 14 years, I've lived at the exact same address. For me, one of the main things that I am missing is my voice. I feel like I do not have a voice in Columbia at all. And because of that, I have made it my mission to give everybody their voice back. I will be at every county council once a month in the evening, so you can come and talk to me, so we can have that dialect. But there's another thing. My phone stays on 24/7. I have actually scared people by answering the phone at 2:30 in the morning when they have called. And that conversation has gone until 7:45 in the morning, and I have gone on with my day. This seat is not about me. I don't hold the seat. You do. The people of District 39 hold the seat. You call the shots. You tell me what it is that you want. You tell me what it is that you don't want. That is how I vote. That is how I fight. And I won't let go. I won't quit.
Of course, Cal Forrest is not here, and there is a large stack for asking Cal Forrest questions, and of course he's not here to answer. Is there anybody else in the general public here that have any questions that maybe you didn't see answered that you would like to direct towards the candidate?
I actually got some questions from Ruth Paget by text. Do we have time for me to ask those?
Ma'am?
I told her I would if we could.
Yes.
I can find it. I'm sorry, I can't find them quick enough.
Well, while she's looking for that, you just interrupt me. But community involvement, what y'all are doing tonight here, is the heartbeat of any county and city in South Carolina. The more you get involved, the more you stay involved, and the more you ask friends and neighbors to come with you to meetings like this. That's the kind of urging that they need. There's a lot of people that are not aware of what's available to them, and it's up to each one of you to really think about people in your social circle, that when we're doing events like this, to invite them to come. Y'all have the greatest spread of food that I've ever seen. There's no way everybody's going to be able to eat all that. So if anything, they can get some groceries out of the deal. So we got, did you find it?
I found, actually, she sent 4 questions for all the candidates, and they all have been asked except one. And interestingly, she wants to know, of all the candidates, where do you get your groceries?
We get ours from Food Line.
We get ours from Food Line too, but you know, we have like $30, $11 Generals in Saluda now, so you can also get groceries from Dollar General, and that's hurt our Food Line. So.
Bill, I don't get the groceries. Mary does. The boss gets them. And she gets them at Food Line. She gets them at Publix. and when she goes to Greenwood and she goes to Lexington, it's wherever her heart takes her. And all I do is eat, as you can tell.
I guess we shop at Food Line and Walmart and Dollar General. So.
And for me, I shop Food Line. My meat comes from H&J Cattle Company. And most of my produce in the summer comes from small local farmers because I can everything.
Yes.
I think what she's getting at is why we don't have another grocery store in Saluda. And that's a question that's been asked a lot of times. And the reason is, we have Food Line, but we also have several Hispanic grocery stores all over Saluda. And we have, how many did you say, 40, 11? Dollar Generals. So, we don't have enough rooftops to support another grocery store. So it's a business decision.
Is there a farmer's market here where people can get fresh produce on the weekends?
Yeah, but I don't, from being told there is, but
Yeah.
I don't know where.
Is anybody?
There's a farmer's market Ridge Spring. Till October, starts in June and goes through October.
There's one opening on Ridge Spring Highway. I'm starting a coffee shop. We're gonna have farmers markets.
And there is one right down here going out of town on 121. It's not a farmer's market. It's a gentleman that sets up there in the summertime that sells produce. There's a gentleman that sets up at 7-Eleven and Crouch's Hardware. He sells produce. Of course, I don't know where he gets it at, but he sells produce there also.
All right.
Well, I thank you all for coming. I hope you think that the questions were well researched and well answered. We tried to look at all the statements that the candidates have been making online and on video and try to drill down more on some general statements and general promises that they have made. So I hope that this has been worthwhile for you. I also want to thank very much all the people from the Saluda County Republican Party who helped with this. We are really working hard to be a relevant party in Saluda County, particularly with voter education and with candidate recruitment. And the party is made up of our representatives from each precinct. And we have two precincts, only two precincts of our 13 that are not organized or don't have representation. That's Centennial Precinct and Richmond Precinct. But if you'll be watching our website, www.saludagop.org, we will be talking about the next reorganization of our party, which will be happening this coming spring in March. And that is an opportunity for you to come and join together with some really good conservative workers who care a lot about our county, our churches, our families, and our country. And we hope that that you will come and join us through your precinct, and we'll make sure you have the information you need to have so that you can come and join our party. I thank all of you for coming, and I thank all you candidates, not just for coming, for stepping up to run. You know, a lot of people complain. Very few people step up to do the job. And I commend each and every one of you. You're all a credit to Saluda County. And I thank you, and I thank all of you for caring. So, good night, everybody.
Let's hear it for